back to YouTube. This is why we test things.
This is true.
All right, going live. Hello.
Nothing played through, Matty.
Yeah, I heard it.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, well,
We're live, and
yeah.
we apologize, guys. It's been a while, so I heard.
Oh, 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 oh.
Together with friends along the way, united with strength to face the day. We're together and now we're here to say, united we will be the change.
There we go. I heard it that time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Above and Beyond, the Accessibility and Inclusion Podcast for Tuesday, May 27th. Happy National Accessibility Week, everybody, and happy 1,680 days until January 1st, 2030. One, two, three. Yay!
Yay. So, there was one good piece of news given to folks with disabilities in Ontario. The Ontario government announced that those who are on ODSP and OW and receiving the ACSD, which is for kids, will not have the Canada Disability Benefit clawed back. Yes, that it they have not stated either way for this last year, but they're finally saying officially it will be not considered income. It will be considered a government benefit like the other ones that we get from the federal government. So that is like okay. First of all, we know that $200 is piddly, but getting $200 and having it taken right back would be way worse. So there has been no insult added to the injury.
100%. I saw that recently as well today. And it's glad that the government is understanding, if I can use that word, uh,
Acknowledging.
acknowledging,
Acknowledging. That's a better
acknowledging
word.
that. Yeah, perfect.
I think they
So
understand us really.
no,
It's how
nobody
much
really
does
does
that mean?
understand. I mean, Maddie, it is National Accessibility Week. We are the third day into National Accessibility Week. How's it been for you?
Uh, well, interestingly enough, I had a reporter reach me out today to talk about a report from our towns come out to like a draft report for the Master Transportation Plan (MTP) for the next few decades. That's going in parallel to the work that's being done on the official plan and the work being done on a transit plan. And she wanted to, knowing that I've attended some of the things and offered my feedback, just seeing is is it going to be like they're saying it should be accessible? Are they really? Is what they're putting in there doing it? So I gotta look into that. But it's really great that like, the relationships that we make with people in media and elsewhere, that when they're thinking about what's happening and they think accessibility and they think to ask the people who are actually disabled first what their thoughts are before reporting on it, and that's that that's an accessibility win.
That's a huge win,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So
No, Maddie, I'm just kind of looking this up. I wanted to acknowledge this as part of our conversation today.
and I apologize for my really big head. For some reason, my webcam has decided to stick in 720p mode, like I'm in the year 2005.
Oh,
So I have this big, and I have a feeling eventually when we get to turning this into the podcast recording that it will look better, but it's just I'm looking at my head and it's just
You know,
I feel the
yeah,
screen. I
and
feel
I
my side of the screen, and it's just different.
no, absolutely, and I totally get it. I mean, I just found the phrase that I wanted to acknowledge,
Ah,
and it says better than nothing. You
mhm.
know, better than nothing uh, in this context says isn't progress; it's permission to harm, and I can see that. I can see that wholesomely, and I can see that based on what I do personally. It's basically relinquishing autonomy and dignity and being content to live with the status quo or even uh, beyond that, being content with what we're given rather than having the tenacity or the fortitude that you and I have to fight for what people with disabilities deserve. And, seeing that, reading that during National Accessibility Week, for me, it's a reminder for who I am and what I do and why I do what I do. And it's it really hit home to me.
It's like I am so busy this week. I am just I had hoped that in the past few years we've tried to make 2 or 3 or 5 or the first year we did this
Every day.
4 years ago. We did 7 days. We did seven each day. We did one in 7 days, and then subsequent years we've been trying to get a couple in. And this year it's just like I was looking at my week ahead, and I want to do it, but I know I can't. I have nothing. Like we found the time today. This is gonna be a short one. We're gonna be finishing off at about 25 after the hour, and we started a few minutes late because of tech issues. But it's accessibility is um, it's baked into everything we do because everything we do requires some level of accessibility. Like
Absolutely.
just getting out the door, literally getting out the door, is requires accessibility. Getting to the next place we go requires accessibility, and it's one of those things where every day we hit the barriers. We have some successes, and it, it's just part of some days are harder than others, and some days we fight, and some days we rest, and some days we cower, and some days we scream. But this week it's like, okay, one of the here's my biggest pet peeve about this week. So many, like, okay, so I'm gonna call them out because I call them out every freaking year. My town puts out a message saying, it's accessibility week, where we think about the things that we've done and the things we're going to do. And I asked, do you have a follow up post saying what you've done and what you're going to do? Because if you just post something like this acknowledging it, it's able washing.
Yeah.
You're
It
able washing us, and it is pointless. It is uh, unless you're saying unless this week draws your attention to what you've done, like the success you have and the things you still need to do. It's just it's raising a it's performative. It has no value. Acknowledging accessibility without acknowledging your part in it has no value and no use to us.
it's just a really bad disclaimer and PR at
Very
its
much.
finest, and really able splaining. We acknowledge it's
Yeah,
National Accessibility Week, but what are
it's not
we
even
gonna
able
do?
explain. It's not explaining anything. If they're not actually saying what they've done and what they're doing.
Able splaining in the sense that they're saying it's National Accessibility Week
That's
without
that's
actually.
yeah, that's what I call able washing, because
Okay.
it's washing over something. It's acknowledging it, but not right. Ex- able splaining is telling us what problems we're having.
Well, I kind of feel like that's kind of what goes on. They, but they're identifying the problems, but they're not being proactive towards obtaining the solutions.
I'm not even seeing. Like I'm talking about this week. I'm talking
Right.
about things that I've seen online,
Yep.
and I guess why I'm a little bit. Um,
Sure.
yeah, it's like in the years in past years, there hasn't been a lot of people posting about it, but those that did were being constructive, creating a sense of communication and community. We're in this together. Here's what we're doing. Let's focus on the people that are doing the work. Let's focus on the folks that are breaking down barriers. And I find this year is it's just posts stating a fact. Like it's like acknowledging that it's this day without like it's meant to be a day to dig into what what the accessibility successes have been, and what you acknowledge you still need to do so that we have a path forward. And that's what's
And you know
missing.
what? I gotta be
It's just
honest with you,
empty
Matt.
posts.
Oh, absolutely. And I gotta be honest with you. I was shocked. I did an interview at Cable 14 this morning for National Accessibility Week,
Hmm.
airing tomorrow at 5 p.m. Um, but I wanted to, kind of get myself, prepared and get more information about it and an up to date stat on the percentage of people with disabilities in Hamilton.
Hmm.
And I was shocked when I found that number today. You know, we talk about it being 28%, right? Give or take.
Yeah.
It's 35% now. 35% ages 15 and over identify as members of the disability community. Canada's 27%, Ontario's 24.1%, which to me is a little bit of a low number. But 35, 30, from 2022 to 2025, go from 28% to 35%. I'm I was literally like I had to reread that. And I looked it over. I fact checked it on Stats Canada. And the comparable cities are in BC. Kamloops, Victoria, um, and other cities in BC that draw comparable numbers. So that's gotta tell you that the number of people with disabilities nationally is going up.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it has been definitely stepping up. I mean, and now we're including a whole whack of people with long COVID, which is
yeah.
just there's a whole cohort of about 3% of Canadians that are experiencing some sort of long COVID. Yeah, 27% as of 2022, 27% of Canadians aged 15 and over. And that's just so we're not even talking about kids, but we're talking about the 15 and over. That's 8 million people in Ontario. 28%. Yeah, it is absolutely.
Look at Hamilton's number.
I can't. I was trying to get deep into that, but I couldn't pull it up right now.
Like 28%,
Yeah,
27, 35%.
I know. It's like it's
Over one
you
third of Hamiltonians age 15 and up identify as members of the disability
must
community.
be the water. Must be
It
the
must be,
smelting.
you
Must
know
be the
what?
steel.
It must be a lot of things, stuff of which I really don't want to say right now. But it's saying that, Maddie.
It's probably why they all voted NDP. I've heard that.
I'm not surprised.
I've heard a lot of things about Hamilton over the
Yeah,
years, and never
yeah,
met you.
and you're right, and you're welcome. And our football team won on Saturday night.
I'm unaware of anything right now until Hamilton weekend in July.
Okay, well, yeah, we won on Saturday. Mind you, it was preseason, but nonetheless, hey, a win's a win. We'll take it.
Yep.
Um, just Maddie, I'm still blown away by that number. I'm still like, just
Yeah.
And what are we
And
doing about it? What are we doing
exactly
about it?
like I okay, so last week I went to another town meeting on transit,
Mhm.
and there was another young woman in a wheelchair, and it was her first public meeting that she's ever gone to, 'cause she really felt that she needed to talk. Like it was interesting. First of all, the button to the town hall did not work. So I had to go to the main door and not the door to the council chambers, where because this the council chambers is where they were having it. And yeah, so that was the first thing. Then I had to get brought to the place. The elevator I went in, I just fit. My feet were touching the wall. My back of the chair was touching the doors of the thing, and so that's how small it is. And when I get in there, there's lots of people, and when I finally got a chance to talk with the facilitator that was from the contractor that's sort of gathering the feedback to do this feasibility plan. Um, they had not the accessibility was a check mark, but they had no idea until talking to us what it really meant, what our needs really were. And I said to him, okay, so imagine that you want to do something, you want to go someplace at any like, and let's say it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning. Right now, yes, we don't have transit, but you can take a taxi. You can go anywhere. We cannot go anywhere.
No.
Now, we can go by train to Ottawa. We can go by train to Toronto, but we can't go to any of the other towns inside our municipality. Uh, but if we have medical travel, yes, that gets covered. But nothing else. There's no way for us to get out of town except by train, and the schedule's very finite. So we can't go when we want. We can go hopefully if there's a spot available on the train. But so I said, like, that's so you're asking, do we want a regular schedule, or do we want to be able to do this on call, on demand? And I said yes to both. Like, it really, having a regular thing would be great, but we also want the ability to on demand call and be able to get into a wheelchair accessible vehicle and go to where we want when we want. And he's like, oh, well, that just adds a whole level. It's like, yeah. So I said, if it's not accessible, I don't want it at all. I will fight it. I will. It can't. You cannot create something new without it being accessible. If it's not accessible, I will fight it. I will fight to know. I will sue to force it to be accessible, because in this day and age, like, if you're looking at something that's going to meet the needs of the community, we have the second largest per capita number of people in ODSP in Ontario, behind um uh where's it, what's number one? I keep forgetting. Do you know who number one is?
Who's number one, Matty?
I believe it might be the home of the Ticats.
Oh yes, Hamilton.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's it. That's
that's
the name
the
of the city.
one. Well, speaking of Hamilton, I was in Ottawa last week.
I know. Yes. We got that's right. See, that's why I thought we did live last week. Actually, I may have talked about some of the stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I looked at my computer. Like, we actually haven't done one of these. Oh, this is
No.
right here. Since the first April 2nd, I think April 2nd or 3rd, whatever that first week of April. April and May has been just crazy for us
Uh-huh.
both.
Yeah.
So we finally got to, and today almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Intelligent
look at this.
transportation.
I don't have a halo. I have a yes. My chin is now.
I can see the light. You're advancing into the stairway to
I
heaven.
have blind.
It's the
It's
calling,
not in my eye. It's just in my chin.
So
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, that makes it really shine.
Shine bright like a
There we go.
diamond. There we go.
There's this.
So, no, Maddie, I was at Intelligent Transportation Systems, Transportation and Technology Policy Playbooks and People Summit. That was a global summit in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the conversations were bold they were fearless, and there was commitment to action.
Yeah, excellent.
You know, and that's really what we need. We need a commitment
Yeah.
to fundamental systemic and culture change, and a call to action from all levels of government, businesses, community, and to support allyship, to support the importance of including people with disabilities
Mhm.
in order to advance thriving. You know, that often gets, pushed by the wayside, as you alluded to earlier in the conversation. But I'm optimistic, Maddie. After the conversations that were had and the presentation that I gave on accessibility in Ottawa, um, I'm optimistic. You know, as I
Yeah.
said in the opening, we're 1,680 days away from January 1st, 2030. I mean, God help us if there's something that advances before then. But it just I felt something there.
Yeah.
I felt the energy. I felt the environment. You and I both know Roger Brown
Oh
from
yeah.
the.
Like he was glowing.
You know what? Yeah. My buddy Frank. And I'm gonna be in Toronto on Saturday for Access Fest.
Yes, I was gonna
That's
say
happening.
what and I'm like, this is I don't know yet, and I probably won't decide till Friday whether I'm going to be in Ottawa or Toronto for an accessibility conference, because in Ottawa I'd be going because I'd be meeting vendors closer to like serving me, but then there's the opportunity in Toronto where there's all these disability leaders as well as vendors. It's like, where do I go?
You
Oi,
know, you know what, Matty?
choices.
You
We've had a
know, but
portal gun go
you're
half
a
to one,
leader as
half to the
well.
other. What's that?
You're a leader as well. I think it's important to acknowledge that. This is what this week is about: trailblazing and leading the way,
Hmm.
and cultivating that change from our lived experiences, sharing our stories. Now, I don't want to, diss the conference in any way, shape, or form. But I was at the Marriott Bonvoy in Ottawa, and to get to the conference, there was no accessible push buttons. It was in a
Yeah.
separate area from the hotel itself, but there was no push buttons. The most
20.
basic of accessibility,
Oh, or even just open, keep the doors open.
which is what they ended up doing, and even to access the hotel's part, or sorry, the hotels as part of behind the reception, closed, no accessible buttons,
Yeah,
and
I,
carpeted rooms. I mean,
I,
I'm,
oh
I'm kind of
God,
getting fed up
I
with
know. I, I have been, uh, I have been working with hotels in Ottawa for the last 5 years, 4 years, I guess, because COVID we didn't do anything in 2020 or 2021, 2022 when we started doing things in person again. And I've been to a lot of conferences in Toronto and a lot
Mhm.
of conferences in Ottawa, and the Ottawa ones have been uh, minimally accommodated, none of them accessible. Because what you experienced was an accommodation; it wasn't accessibility. Accommodation means that people have you that are doing something out of the norm to let you access something that everyone else can do themselves. Accessibility is when we can do it where everybody does it, where everybody. So it may be slightly different, but we are in control of it. And my gosh, that it was not the case. Well, it wasn't the case there, but it's and that's really the lesson that we like accommodation is the bare bare minimum, and in a lot of cases, accommodations just aren't enough because
No,
you're not
and
thinking accessibility. You're thinking that an accommodation means accessible, and it's not.
no, no,
That's
no, and
that's
they're
that's the
two
part that we
different.
really have to teach folks. It's the
They're two.
wrong A
Yeah,
that they're hung up on.
well, yeah, and accommodations really mean for that person with the disability to be the leader in the
Yeah,
solution. and identifying the solution and working with organizations to, and for all intents and purposes, know what the solution is and have the capacity and the ability to provide the solution, but are choosing to be negligence, not the right, ignorant to it, maybe.
I think it's a choice that's ignorance isn't the right word, but it's not educated. It's
Right.
not validated, right?
No. And
Yeah.
and when you've met one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. And the whole idea is to try to get like, and let's use transit for example. In the education system, they have IEPs for individuals with
Yeah.
disabilities. Why not incorporate an individualized transit plan?
Yeah.
It's boggles my mind. It boggles my mind.
I agree.
And it's
Well,
6:28, Maddie, and
I was gonna
we
say,
are
my friend, it's 6:28, and I think it's about time that we hit the button that is our sign off. You wanna do all the blah, 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 the blurb?
yeah, and thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube. We're glad to be back. We'll be back soon. We're just organizing a new date and time together to get us back on a routine schedule. Happy National Accessibility Week, everybody. Follow us on X at Matt J. Dever, at Above and Beyond for You on Facebook at The Autistic Rambler, Above and Beyond Anthony Frazina. Send us an email, Above and Beyond the Podcast at gmail.com. Leave a like, leave a share, leave a comment on this page, on this post. We love listening to you and hearing what you have to say, and it helps grow the channel. It helps make us make things better for what we do. And we're a proponent of allyship. That sounded like a standing ovation.
It was a sitting ovation. We're good, bud.
There you go. Again, thank you so much for listening and watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Together with friends along the way, united with strength to face the day. We're together.